Hello, everyone. It's Archie Paul America here with Zanzibar over here today. Going to be talking about stuff regarding Donald Trump and Ukraine, and also the very funny thing regarding the Jeffrey Epstein case that happened. So now that we're bringing in, I'm going to have an intro video. This is something that I uploaded recently that I think is quite hilarious.
Yeah, no, it's we
It's
have a lot of fell for it again awards on that side, to say the least.
Oh yeah. All right, so briefly sharing the screen and showing an intro video.
All
This is a
right,
funny Ace Attorney video I made earlier. All right, ready?
all right.
Hold it! Hold it!
Mm.
Objection!
All right, so that's about it at the end for the intro. So that's all. It's based on the so the whole thing is an Ace Attorney reference. You probably won't get it because you haven't played the game. But I know that all the characters I chose for that are intentional.
Yeah. No, I'm familiar with that meme format. I just haven't played that game very much.
I see.
But yeah. So after all the events of these past couple weeks regarding of the Epstein files, I've concluded that either the Epstein guest list is real and Trump is on it, or it's just a right-wing conspiracy that they've fomented
Wait,
all
so
the
the
years.
Epstein. Wait, maybe. So there's wait. Is there an actual chance that the Epstein list is a hoax?
I mean, I've heard rumors to that effect. Like I said, I'm not passing judgment quite yet, but yeah, I've heard it's a hoax that there's a physical list of people buried somewhere in the archives that needs to be exposed, and a misinterpretation of the charges against Epstein. But again, that's just my immediate take on what's happened, and it is kind of funny to see the infighting in that camp as a result.
Yeah.
Because yeah, this was one of their big issues upon winning the election. Aside from the JFK files, which, as we know, were just a nothing burger, right? Like, we didn't really learn anything from that we didn't already know. And this appears
Yeah.
to be turning out the same way.
Yeah, so you think, but like, could the Epstein files end up being a nothing burger? Like, I do genuinely wonder, if that's the case. Like,
I mean, yeah, I think very much could be.
yeah,
Oh,
but
of
then again, we
course.
don't actually know. We don't actually know until the files are released. It could be that everyone here is bluffing.
Yeah.
Seems a little, yeah. Maybe like maybe not say Trump. Maybe Trump isn't a pedophile. He's just been hyping up this whole list for nothing. Like, who knows?
Well, yeah, and the thing is that the videos involved that in that case involved abuses by Epstein himself, not particularly any clients.
Yeah.
Like, he was undoubtedly a scumbag, but the amount of people who went to that island might be a bit overblown.
Okay. Seems a little like yeah, I'm not sure. The problem is we don't actually know unless we have that information ourselves.
Yeah, and it also depends on the sort of things that Ghislaine Maxwell, his associate, will testify before the court. And again, this sort of flies in the face of the whole conspiracy interpretation that she hasn't mysteriously died or otherwise. She's still going to testify.
Well, she has to testify first.
Yes, and it remains to be seen how that will go.
So maybe Epstein really did commit suicide if she was able to go up and testify.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I do think it is somewhat suspicious that the camera in his cell malfunctioned at that particular moment. I think we need further answers about that. But, the whole Epstein didn't kill himself meme might be a bit overblown.
Yeah, but the thing is that, like, I mean, but his camera's not working. We don't actually know if he was assassinated or not. Like,
And by whom, anyways? And, like, apparently that wasn't the first time that P attempted suicide either, so.
Yeah, I know the whole, like, Epstein didn't kill himself as a meme, but how
Yeah,
true is it?
there's a lot of real funny memes around that, but it might be wrong. He might have actually killed himself. Talk about
Yeah.
a conspiracy theory.
Basically saying if
totally-
Maxwell testifies, there's a better chance that he did, as you already said, because
Yeah, that's the
yeah,
thing.
why would they
And
go
the thing
after?
about it is she helped, the charges are that she helped procure victims for him, not necessarily a sex ring for elites. Those are
Yeah.
at least what
But
the
also,
indictment
but I just have to remember the fact that Epstein was within elite circles for a long time.
Yes, and so like we can't rule out that there were others involved in this case, but so far, I mean, they're not releasing the paper trail. But like the direct charges against him are not about that, and his flight logs have actually been public since 2019. The flight logs for his plane.
Wasn't Trump on his plane though?
I believe so. Yes.
Like, what about like what politicians actually flew on the Epstein Express? But then again, flying in someone's plane doesn't mean that you're one of their clients.
That you're involved in some sex ring is the thing.
Yeah. It's weird, but it's not an automatic confirmation. You got to remember the fact that
like
Epstein
apparently
was
Bill
considered
Clinton,
a
Britain's
norm.
Prince Andrew, and Kevin Spacey, who again, those definitely those latter two.
Okay, but Prince Andrew is already convicted as a sex pest, so
yeah, that's the other thing. So I mean, yeah, it's enough to raise suspicion. I'll say there are people with proven histories of creepiness involved, but there's just not much in the way of evidence of a vast conspiracy network.
I bet one person's gonna angrily watch this video, and I say this, but okay. I'm also gonna say this, but like the whole Epstein list is pretty much we have to actually see we have to get somebody to release it to know what it is.
Yeah,
but the fact that Trump is like completely backtracking on the Epstein list is very, very suspicious.
I will say, yeah, it's like I said, it either doesn't exist or exists and he's on it. Those are the two outcomes, as I said.
Yeah. I mean, the The other thing he may do is he may just delete it and say that it never existed. But then again, how easy it is to delete classified information? Like, can you actually do that
Yeah,
easily?
no, and I mean, but the thing is, if there was secret information about him, it might have, if they were destroying stuff, they would have probably destroyed it by now, is the thing.
Yeah, that's fair. If they were gonna destroy information like that, they wouldn't make it so public.
Yeah, they wouldn't have a big hullabaloo about it just to do a rug pull.
Yeah, that's bad strategy. I feel like they wouldn't make a big deal. I feel like if they watch, I feel like we would never hear about Epstein file. I feel like we never hear about the Epstein files from Trump if he actually wanted to destroy them. Like, there's no reason to grab people's attention on something like this and then pull them under the rug.
Absolutely, and
The
if
thing is, if you're going to be corrupt, you're best being quiet about it. Like,
yeah, no, it's like other than that, you're just trolling your followers for the lulz. And if the list in fact is not real, I think this might be just some elaborate plan to de-escalate those theories. Like, the head of the EPA recently posted something about chemtrails. And, everyone was saying, oh, shit, they're indulging these conspiracies. And no, the post on the EPA site was basically saying that chemtrails don't exist.
yeah. Actually, the thing is, you make a good point.
Someone on the inside of that movement, in the government, has to sort of patiently explain and de-escalate these things that have been festering in.
I actually necessarily agree. I think that I think what Trump is doing, and I just thought about this now, is he's setting this up to ultimately reveal that the Epstein list doesn't exist, and then to blame the Democrats for leading him into his broken promises. Like,
I think that's a very solid theory, and he's already in his tweets or truths or whatever they're called now talked about how, the Dems can't shut up about this pedophile guy, and leading MAGA influencers are towing that line at this point.
yeah, the thing is that but the thing is that there has been a lot of anger directed at Trump about the list. So it has come to show that there are a fair bit of people within Trump's camp that actually do believe that there's this massive pedophile ring in the government, and
of course,
that are not
it's been a
just
mainstay of MAGA types since the beginning of the movement, QAnon and Pizzagate and the like. And this is the closest anything in the real world has come to those theories. And it might not even be real. Again, as I mentioned, the charges against Epstein and Maxwell were that they trafficked girls across state lines for him, not necessarily for Bill Clinton or Donald Trump or whoever.
Right, so you're saying that, but that's why I have a question. But the other thing is, did Epstein never testify himself? They never brought him up to the stand, or
I think he died. However, he died before that was due to happen. And I think that's a source of a lot of the conspiracies about him, is, he died at a mysterious moment.
It's not necessarily an unreasonable conspiracy.
Yeah, it is not. It's not at all. Right? You have every reason to suspect some sort of dirty play, especially with the malfunctioning camera hard drive at that particular minute in the jail cell.
Yeah.
But still, I mean, on the other hand, his life was ruined. He would forever be known as that pedophile guy. And there were also reasons for him to kill himself.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's kind of weird to say about, did he or did he not?
I mean, honestly, I'm actually leaning towards he did at this point. I mean, we all joke about, Epstein didn't kill himself, but from just the hard evidence we have now, I think it was a suicide. And you can call me a conspiracy theorist or anything, and I think there are valid grounds to still be suspicious, but that's just my provisional conclusion at the moment. What's yours?
Yeah, I guess it probably. I'm not really sure what to say if it was a suicide or not. Like somebody could have assassinated him. Like one
Yeah, no,
person,
exactly. But
it didn't even have to be a massive conspiracy that somebody could have assassinated him because he didn't want to get exposed. I mean,
no,
that's not
totally.
necessarily
And
a
like it's
massive stretch.
yeah, and I think of all the conspiracy theories, it is the most one of the most understandable, at least.
Yeah, it is one of the more understandable conspiracy theories that like you could have easily like it all it takes is one rich person to assassinate him. Like realistically speaking, that could have happened.
Yeah, and among many things, they did not follow normal jail procedures on the night of his death.
Yeah, which is also very weird. So who knows? Really
Well, who
realistically
knows?
could have
Yeah, again,
happened.
like I
This is
said, just from the
very
hard evidence, maybe, but like I think there's still a lot of valid grounds for suspicion.
yeah. There's a lot of reasonable grounds to say that it could have been an assassination. At least in my opinion, anyway. So now moving on to the other part of the conversation, I do. So apparently Trump has been consistently pivoting on Ukraine, like going from very pro-Ukraine to very anti-Ukraine, and kind of just going completely back and forth.
Yeah, and in recent days, he seems to have skewed heavily pro-Ukraine. Like he's authorizing the first presidential aid package since Biden left office, and apparently it's worth $10 billion in total, which is more than any individual package Biden sent. The largest of his was $6 billion, and it involves like 17 Patriot missile systems, which is a good thing. This is very much a welcome development.
Yeah, I do. I do wonder if it's not necessarily Trump. Did have a weird theory. Maybe Trump isn't necessarily that mentally unstable, but it's more like he switches his policies up because he wants to appease different people.
Well, yeah, or the classic explanation is he has a severe case of last person he talked to syndrome.
Yeah, he might have a last person he talked to, or it may simply be that he's trying to appease different people in his camp
Yeah,
at different times.
and at the moment, the Ukraine Hawks seem to have his ear more. And the other thing is, he's often checked out of a lot of these kinds of things. Like, there's underlings do the actual running of the show. And the guy who was suspended temporarily of weapons to Ukraine was not Trump. It wasn't even Hegseth. It was Elbridge Colby, this Pentagon functionary in charge of policy. And it was rubber stamped by Hegseth. And apparently, Trump didn't even know. So, which
Yeah,
question of either how much control he has over his administration or how much he cares about things outside his main big issues, which are tariffs and
yeah.
immigration.
I highly doubt Trump cares about many issues personally. Like he doesn't. He's flip flopped in too many things to he's flip flopped too many times to make me think that he cares about a lot personally.
Yeah, again, it's immigration and tariffs. Those are two things he genuinely believes in. Those are the pillars of his support base, going all the way back to 2015. And those are things he genuinely is involved in. But everything else, he's willing to let underlings run most of the show. And
then again, I have to say this. It's a hot take. I don't think Trump himself is a racist. I think that he he supports legal immigration, he strongly opposes illegal immigration.
Yeah, no, that's the thing from the get-go. I do not think he's an ideological racist like a lot of
he is not.
internet supporters on Twitter.
Some of his administration is, but him himself, I highly doubt that, considering the fact that he's lived his whole life as a big cosmopolitan guy. So I don't really think he has much personal Trump
towards people of different races, and also LGBT stuff, like the whole Christian right anti-LGBT ideology. That's not something that was a big issue of his. He was raised in New York high society. He associated with gay people a lot. In 2016, he ran a pretty pro-gay platform. And of course, the evangelical rights are a pillar of the Republican base that you need to appease a lot. But again, that's not something he cares very much about.
Yeah. No, the thing is, Trump doesn't really care much about LGBT stuff. The thing is that, like, I think he probably he's like probably personally not necessarily cares much about it. He did, after all, live most of his life in New York. So, I think he himself is pretty supportive of it, but like his base isn't. Like,
Yeah, and the thing is, though, his base on stuff other than tariffs and immigration will tack with him on whatever he does. Like, they're not that ideologically opposed to Ukraine outside some terminally online types. Like, a recent poll came out today that showed like a 40%
but also
swing
like,
among Trump supporters in favor of his plan to arm Ukraine when told it was his plan. So yeah, it's not
okay. That's just straight up believing. Do these people believe anything Trump says?
I mean, basically, like they believe his rationale for flip flopping like that.
Yeah.
No, and it's like MAGA influencers, like Charlie Kirk being one of the biggest, are towing the line. Like this, they're almost like Soviet party activists repeating the new party line dutifully, even though it's the opposite of a yesterday party line.
Do you think he's actually like Soviet party activists?
No, yeah, like agitators among the people. That's sort of what it's like, and they're just dutifully loyal to him, no matter what he does. Like Kirk, as I mentioned, was a very strong voice against aid to Ukraine, but he seems to have flipped on it in a recent video. And like the people who will turn against Trump over stuff like Ukraine aid it's a very small number who are very online. Now, the Epstein files is a different issue that has the potential to cause a bit more, some bigger splits, shall we say. But even that, a lot of MAGA types have loyally repeated the new party line and have advised everyone to shut up about Epstein and why are the Democrats obsessed with pedophilia. That's what they're saying now. So yeah. And that's why I also don't think Trump has an obvious successor. Like, really no one else in the Republican Party could command this kind of loyalty.
I see.
Like, I do not think Vance could have this cult following. No, not at all.
Oh, so you don't think there's anyone in the Republican Party that could
who could have this kind of following? No. I mean, like Trump, it's beyond anything rational. It's just his charisma. It's his personality that his support base likes, and his opposition to immigration. Like if he 180s on that, it's unlikely that it's more likely that large numbers of his supporters will turn against him. But if he spins it the correct way, maybe not. Like, there was talk of a stay of deportation for illegal workers who were picking food because that would totally collapse our food supply. And it's rational, but it is backtracking on we're going to deport them all.
Yeah. I mean, I totally see that. So you think that because that's another question. But do you think he had a more consistent platform in his first agenda?
I mean, I don't think so. Like, remember, a lot of the people running the show at that time were traditional Republican types who pursued a traditional Republican agenda of tax cuts and hawkish foreign policy. And like Trump's big issues at the time, tariffs and immigration were the same, but he had less power over them than now. And again, like some of his economic advisors were literally like snatching tariff plans off his desk. So he didn't really get to pursue them as much the first time around. And obviously, they cracked down on illegal immigration too back then, but people forget also that Trump was not the first to raise that. He just rose to fame by putting it front and center. We're going to build the wall
Yeah,
and make Mexico pay for it.
yeah. No, the thing is, I don't even think he even deported more people than Obama. He just made a big show about it.
Yeah, and that's the other side of it, the spectacle, not even the hard policy.
Well, yeah, I think a lot of people, talk about is the fact that he like had such a massive spectacle around this idea. Like, for the other presidents, took deportation, but they didn't like make this massive spectacle out of it.
Again, yeah, it wasn't something to celebrate. It was just something that had to be done at a certain point. But Trump, in his first term, and even more so now, is treating each deportation like a glorious victory over America's enemies. Which, I mean, I gotta say, it depends on the person. Like, absolutely, criminals need to go back, but I just can't find myself to take joy at someone's family being ripped
Yeah,
apart,
me
even if one
neither.
of them was here legally. It's just
Yeah.
not something I think should be celebrated or glorified.
No, I'm not saying to say this, but I genuinely don't believe most people actually want people's families to be ripped apart if both of them came here legally. I mean, that's obviously,
Yeah, I don't imagine that's a very popular, and like I even heard a story once of I believe an undocumented immigrant mother who supported Trump with her family and is now facing deportation and is still loyal to him because she believes, oh, it's just the criminals, I'll find a way out. And it's like, ugh. So even his supporters don't believe in, even some of his supporters at least, don't believe in removing every single person who signed one paper slightly wrong 30 years ago, which is what a lot of these
yeah.
cases are.
Yeah, I mean that's a little absurd. That's like all of the problems with like that's like taking all the problems of big government and throwing them onto immigration. Like people like very absurd amounts of like bloat and it's very absurdly bloated bureaucracy. Typical problems with the government in the country.
Oh, absolutely. And yeah, it's like you find a lot of people online explicitly cheering on a lot of these horror stories, including like a Danish guy who signed one paper 7 years ago because like his wife had a miscarriage and just some clerical error that's led to him being forcibly ripped away from his family. And it's terrifying,
Yeah,
but
but it's also crazy is the fact that they even do it for white people as well. They're not
no,
nobody
yeah, I
even.
mean that's the thing. It's say what you will about this deportation policy, but it's not racist. They treat white Europeans the same way as MS-13 gang members from El Salvador. I mean, it's truly a practice of civic nationalism rather than ethnic. It's about what papers you have.
Yeah. Yeah, but the thing is, some people on Twitter, the right wing people on Twitter will say it's ethnic, but in actual policy, it's hardly even that way.
No, it is, yeah. Because, yeah, the thing is, a lot of immigrants from richer countries have stronger support networks than from poorer ones. But again, that's not a matter of race.
Yeah, but even then, you've seen like Western Europeans get the side of this problem.
Yeah, absolutely. Which, I mean, I guess the white nationalist movement is a little bit torn on, to say the least. But again, it's not race, it's about immigration status. And
Yeah, yeah, but even then, it's not even Trump's deportations that are crazy. A lot of these are pretty normal. It's simply the fact that he made a massive spectacle about it, and Like, there are obviously
Yeah,
these
to the
stories
point where
about,
the White
like
House,
some of
the
the
official White House account, is posting AI memes of criminals crying as they get deported. I mean, it is ridiculous. And that's what I object to a lot about this administration. It's not even the agenda, which I mean, I disagree with a lot of, to say the least. It's just the unprofessionalism, the childishness of everything. Government run by 15-year-old edgelords. And I mean, something like
yeah.
Signalgate would have toppled any government in Europe. I mean, there would have been arrests over that kind of negligence, casually letting a reporter in on top secret war plans. But like,
Casually letting
that's
a
just
reporter in on
Tuesday.
top secret war plans.
Yeah, remember? And they accidentally
Yeah.
added the editor-in-chief of The Atlantic to a group chat discussing the U.S. strikes on Yemen. I mean,
God.
yeah,
Yeah, that
remember
was
this?
yeah, that was hilarious.
Yeah, no, and again, we as a society have largely forgotten about it by now because that's just Tuesday under this administration. That hardly even registers as a scandal.
Yeah. So you're saying that if any government in Europe did that, it would have fallen?
Well, yeah, there have been all manner of investigations, possibly arrests, dozens of resignations, early elections. I mean, it would have been a big deal, but it just isn't.
Yeah. Like throw inviting a random reporter onto like to talk about war plans.
Yeah, exactly that.
Yeah. Well, this is kind of yeah, it's just like yeah. Was there any is there any example of a European government falling because of something like that or no?
I'm not sure I can find any examples from recent history, but again, I'm not sure I can find any examples of act of negligence that damning as admitting a reporter to a top secret group chat. I mean, like, we're the most powerful country in the world, and that happens. Like, the word unprecedented has been used virtually to death in the Trump era, but it's more true than ever. What can you say?
Yeah.
So much of what we're seeing is unprecedented, and we're probably going to see a lot more unprecedented stuff. I think it goes without saying.
Yeah. But like, a lot of it's like Trump what's funny is that a lot of this stuff is not necessarily like terrible, it's just weird. Like like leaking a fucking group chat
Yeah.
like
No, and it's like, yeah, thankfully, no enemy agents gained access to it, but it leads you to think what's happening behind the scenes? What have they gained access to? Thanks to just pure negligence and unprofessionalism of that sort that just hasn't seen the light of day yet. I mean, like, we would not have known about this Signalgate thing if the journalist in question hadn't talked about it in public a few days after the military strike in question. Like, he himself broke the story. And of course, a lot of the potential enemy agents, possibly in future group chats, aren't going to announce it in public. So I am genuinely kind of worried about what's been happening behind the scenes.
yeah. Yeah. But I'm also yeah, so it's kind of just crazy to think about but it's funny like I do wonder if the people I see on Twitter like actually represent the administration or if they're just like people that are just larpers. Like they don't like these like white nationalist accounts I see on Twitter. They truly represent what Trump wants.
I think just LARPers for the most part. Like, a lot of them are opportunists, and these are the people who tend to counter signal him on stuff they don't like instead of towing the line. I mean, like, some of them are probably even Russian bots or Russian trolls or something.
Yeah, to be fair, like a lot of them might literally I mean, it's not necessarily impossible to say Elon does like genuinely believe in like having unrestricted speech online, and so they just took advantage of the opportunity.
Yeah, and that's exactly what's happened since he took over Twitter. Like, there's been an absolute upsurge of neo-Nazi speech, of hate speech of all sorts, of conspiracies, of foreign bot activity, because he genuinely believes in unrestricted speech online, and he's putting that into practice.
Yeah, what do you actually define as hate speech, though? I'm like genuinely curious because
I mean, well, stuff that incites hate based on nationality or religion and the like. I mean, again, if we want to go into legal definitions, that's
also
another thing. But
also like intentional
yeah, just hating people for their skin color, religion, whatever, and that has increased on Twitter under Musk. That's just a fact.
yeah. Yeah, so I guess it is possible. So, the was I gonna say this? So, what is actually in this Ukraine aid package? Like,
I think it's mostly Patriot missiles, interceptors of all sorts, as well as, I believe, some longer range ATACMS missiles that could hit as far as that could hit many Russian airfields far behind the lines. And again, there's so much that's the subject of rumor that I won't believe until I see it, but that's what's been said. And there's also a rumor that Trump encouraged Zelensky to hit Moscow and St. Petersburg and the like. And this was later backtracked into, just exploring options. But there is talk of that Ukraine may have more freedom than ever to use these weapons as it wishes, which I hope for, to say
yeah,
the
yeah.
least.
Because isn't it true there are a lot of strings attached right now to like weapons to Ukraine?
Oh, there are. I mean, like going back to the Biden administration, it was infamous that they didn't allow long range strikes in Russia or any strikes in Russia until 2024. And there's all sorts of rules of engagement and limited drip feed. And as I mentioned, this package is the largest one yet. This proposed package, largest individual one. So I
So the
hope that this is the beginning of a new policy of just totally arming Ukraine to the teeth, taking even the gloves that Biden had off. I hope this is where it's going. I could be wrong. He could do a 180 in a few days. And the other thing that I'm sort of worried about here is that the sanctions package, the bone crushing sanctions package, as it's called, is delayed. Like, he's given Putin 50 days before it's imposed. And who knows if he'll impose another 50-day extension when that's up. You know, the joke about Trump always chickens out. And people are saying, it's 6 months deadline to end the war a few months ago, and 50 days will be the end of that. But I'm genuinely afraid he'll kick that down the line. Again, I hope that gets passed. That's just my take.
I see. Yeah, but so like yeah, so like yeah, so yeah, it's interesting to say this and all that. So it seems like the West. So why do you think Biden was so reluctant to support Ukraine? Is it just
I
being like
mean, well, I
not
think the
being
thing
the
was,
news?
fear of escalation and fear of possible conflict with Russia. And again, these fears are unfounded because, like, the more Ukraine has been given the liberty to strike these targets far into Russia, Russia hasn't retaliated to the degree we thought. Like in 2022, people genuinely feared that Russia would strike back against the countries that were arming Ukraine, and that hasn't happened, at least overtly.
Yeah, but to be fair, you couldn't have known that it would have done that at the time.
Yeah,
You
no,
have to
it couldn't have known, but in hindsight, it was a stupid policy, and I hope it's reversed for good.
Yeah, yeah. To be fair, I don't necessarily think you know what Russia's gonna do, so I understand if somebody's like, "Oh, we gotta hold back and see how they react before doing this." Like,
Yeah, that's the thing. But again, I hope that the new policy will be all gloves off, all weapons to Ukraine necessary, and the bone crushing sanctions bill. I hope that's how this ends.
Yeah. So what's the sanctions bill? Like, what does it target specifically?
Well, secondary sanctions against countries trading energy with Russia, as well as heavy tariffs on them, which, and the risk is for them that they're not going to destroy their trade relationship with the U.S. in order to keep helping Russia. And I hope it works out as planned. But again, it might also take some planning as it is.
Yeah. I mean, probably Russia will get around it somehow, but yeah, it
Somehow, but
is like,
again,
yeah.
their economic numbers aren't looking particularly good at this point, and it could get really bad for them if this passes.
Yeah. The thing is that, like, yeah, so you having that they just like they pull a South Africa and just give in to pressure
Well,
economically.
that or just we might see an unexpected collapse, like in 1917, like start coming apart. Which
Yeah,
again, I hope to see a quick military solution to this conflict, and I believe this is the easiest way to that.
yeah. The problem I see is that Russia being unstable would not actually be good because then you run the risk of like some random warlord gaining a nuke.
That was what people feared after the collapse of the Soviet Union, and I understand the fear, but aside from that, I don't think, as long as it's properly regulated, as long as we don't see a total state collapse just in their ability to fight a war, I think more chaos is to be encouraged.
Yeah, but we don't want a total state collapse.
Yeah, that's the
But the
thing.
problem is that, yeah, I mean, yeah. So you're saying that there was that fear during the fall of the USSR, but like it's not necessarily a reasonable fear to say, oh,
Yeah,
what if the
that's
wrong
part of
person
why
takes
we
over?
pressured Ukraine and Belarus and Kazakhstan to give up their nuclear weapons because we feared that those states weren't competent enough to manage them and they would end up in the hands of unsavory actors. And I don't think that fear was justified. And that's part of why I'm afraid that we'll step in and stop Russia from losing, even if it seems like they're about to lose.
Oh, because like the West like is very like just generally fearful of an unstable Russia.
Pretty much.
Yeah, but then again, like if the Soviet Union collapsed without a war, so like if Russia loses a war and collapses, could it perhaps be another
I
1917?
hope that these policies lead to a
Yeah, what'd you say?
yeah, it could be that just they're no longer able to sustain their army in the field with the funds they have, and especially with the fluctuating oil prices.
Yeah,
Again, this is
that's
all
like
aspirational, and it's not guaranteed to happen. But I think it's the best shot.
yeah, I see.
Whew, man. And if Trump wants his legacy to be ending the war, well, this is how you do that.
Yeah,
All right, so I think we just about covered all the topics we've said. I think we've done some good detail, and we'll talk
yeah,
about when our next podcast will be in a week or so.
I think we'll call it here. Yeah, well, see you later.
Yeah. All right,
All
see you
right,
later. Take care.
thanks.
Bye.
Bye.